Rubén Oseguera González, Menchito, sentenced to life. Does he look like his dad? He looks like his dad in the face. You give him a mustache, some curly hair, you know what I'm saying? Rubén Oseguera González, alias El Menchito, son of Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, el Mencho, leader of the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, was sentenced to life imprisonment in the United States on Friday. The person in charge of issuing the sentence was Judge Beryl, ¿qué nombre? Le dejaron sin nombre. Beryl A. Howell of the District of Columbia in Washington, D.C., who also determined the payment of a fine of more than $6 billion, not million, $billion for having trafficked rugs to the United States. The jury found him guilty last September of charges of conspiracy to traffic rugs to the United States and use of firearms. All right? Life. That's the game? That's what y'all want? That's the game y'all want to be in? The game where your daddy, raise you right up to a life sentence? That's what you're looking for? A life where daddy raised you up to getting sent to the upper room? Huh? This kid could have probably lived a normal life. But his daddy was into being a savage, right? That's what y'all want to be, right? Savages, we savage. Right? Ran his son right into a life sentence. And don't realize that every dog has his day and every empire ends up crumbling eventually. Life. That's some crazy shit. I'd be devastated if he was my son. Let me ask you something, Zaza. If you were the father that you are, right? Because I assume that you're a father that doesn't want to see his son go the wrong route, right? And you see your son going that route, right? And something like that were to happen, I'm sure you'd be devastated. But let me ask you, and you probably can't answer this because you're not in the position, but if you pushed your son in that direction, if you gave him the option of that being his life, would you still be devastated? Because I wonder how devastated Mencho is. This is what the life got him life. Now, when the government be asking for this $6 billion, do they actually think that they're going to be getting something out of that? I don't understand how that works. $6 billion, all right? They're going to get that money from him in puro gold guns and Lamborghinis. I don't think he didn't take a deal, right? The twins had to give up that money. Had to give that shit up. So the boy got life. It reminds me of the story of Minileak, supposedly, quote unquote, or the Chapitos, whoever did it, because they both point the finger at each other, like Spider-Man and shit. It reminds me of the story where Minileak was mad because the reporter said he was, a half a hustler. And he didn't like the way this reporter spoke on him, so he had the reporter terminated. This reminds me of that story. It reminds me of rich kids, powerful kids with hammers. No different from the average politician's kid, from the average wealthy person's kid who has these benefits of power and connection, and they can make mistakes. See, we make mistakes. People in our hoods make mistakes. We go to prison forever. They make mistakes. You think of one of the Kennedys, Ted Kennedy. And Ted Kennedy drive drunk and go into the water, and a young lady allegedly drowned. Well, she drowned, and allegedly he left her there and went and slept it off and didn't report nothing, and he didn't serve a day in jail. This is happening all the time. You don't even have to be that powerful and that wealthy sometimes. There's a story that I want to get into about the kid. There was a kid that was in high school, and somehow they found him wrapped up in the wrestling mats, and some other kid supposedly got off because of the influence his family carried. So those kids and these cartel kids, same shit. Spoiled kids with power. They can do whatever they want, and people explain it away. Oh, he said something bad about me. Put a green light on him. Go get him. That ain't no different than these spoiled cartel kids with their golden guns with their daddy's initials on it and all their money and all their tough shit, and somebody do something to piss them off, and that's all it take. Their tantrums end up with somebody's life ruined or generations of a family destroyed. Unalived or terminated his driver for not parking the car as quickly as he wanted him to. The double life of El Menchito. A wedding was unfolding in the town of Jalisco, Mexico,
En el año 2015.
in 2015.
El festejo se acabó cuando uno de los invitados tuvo
The festival ended when one of the guests had a violent experience.
un arrebato violento.
That person that caused the discomfort was Rubén Oseguera González. So don't invite the fucking guy to your wedding. Don't invite these guys to your wedding. See, narcissism makes everything about them. Your wedding don't mean shit to that person's feelings or lack thereof. Your wedding means nothing. Your special night, I'll end this shit in violence. Right? Thanks for thinking of me. Why'd you sit me at the table with these people? You know I don't like these people.
Era Rubén Oseguera González, hijo del capo Nemesio.
Look, take away this hair, cut this down, same face, a little darker skin. That's it. That's his daddy.
Ese
So this the son.
invitado incómodo era Rubén Oseguera González, hijo del capo Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, el Mencho, del Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación. El
Mencho, the leader of the CJNG, el Menchito, as they call him, Rubén.
Como le dicen a Rubén, le había ordenado a su chofer que estacionara el coche.
He ordered his driver to park the car.
Pero al ver que no le obedeció tan pronto,
but since he didn't do it in a timely manner the way Rubén wanted him to,
como quería, desenfundó su pistola y lo mató de un...
He untucked his hammer and terminated him with a dome shot. When babies have tempers, but the baby has a hammer. When babies have temper tantrums, but they have a hammer. So they don't just smash shit, they ruin people's lives. Buddy shouldn't have been his driver. Buddy should have known better. Mexican Marines punched Menchito in his shit. His nose was looking fucked up. He was probably broked out too when he shot the driver. Oh, absolutely. He's at the wedding. Oh, man, everybody's partying. He probably saw somebody with a badder bitch than him. He in his feelings. He feeling like less of the... He's not in there feeling like a Chapido. He's in there feeling like a Menchito and shit. He don't like it. So he throws a temper tantrum and smokes dude. Now, that's how simple they're telling us it is. It don't have to be that simple. It could have been something else. It could have been, but this is what we're hearing. So if it is that, then that's a baby temper tantrum with a hammer. This guy showed his face and everything. Only disguise he got is his John Deere hat. He said, yeah, buddy went over there and made a fool out of himself at my wedding.
La anécdota la contó el hombre que contraía nupcias, Herminio Gómez Ancira, quien pasó del ser...
Oh, so he's probably the one that did the marrying. He's like the preacher. That's why he don't give...
Quien pasó del ser sicario del cártel a jefe de la policía de Villa Purificación, Jalisco.
What? That this guy was tell me if he said that, if I'm saying it wrong. That this guy was a tell guy that became a police chief? And now he's marrying people? Am I reading this shit ass backwards, huh?
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
The man that will finalize the marriage. Okay, so I thought he said thank you. Who was a sicario to chief of police
Policía de Villa Purificación, Jalisco.
From the Villa Purificación, Jalisco. In his testimony in September 2024, so that man testified in Menchito'S trial in DC. Why does this guy know so much? He's also saying, he also narrated that Menchito took the lives...
jurado que en 2015 el joven había degollado a 5 hombres que le debían...
Of 5 men that owed him money. Terminated 5 men that owed him money.
Dinero por drogas. A otras víctimas las disolvía en ácido.
And other victims he dissolved in acid.
Mataba por cualquier motivo, aseguró el testigo. He
would unalive people and terminate people for no reason. They also accuse him of using his pistoleros in May 2015 to take down a military helicopter. An unprecedented attack cost the lives of 9 people from the security forces. At the least 100 terminations they said on him. All right, they're calling him a serial terminator, a serial unaliver. He committed these crimes in the defense and the growth of a criminal enterprise that made him...
He employed unspeakable violence to build the cartel into a self-described empire by manufacturing fentanyl and flooding the United States with massive quantities of the deadly drug.
One of the charges of the conspiracy is trafficking cocaine, method man, and hammers.
Nació en San Francisco,
He was born in San Francisco, California, 32 years ago.
Hace 32 años.
That he grew up in a violent environment, all right, pushed by family that was involved in narco trafficking. 14 years old when his father recruited him. And I'm supposed to honor these people? Just come on, man. You do these things to make your family better, and then you get your family out of the game, you move on. If you start recruiting your family into a game, that then there's nothing. You're nothing. Unfortunately, all those kids grow up in the environment, yeah. And then they do shit like that. When they throw a tantrum, the cleaning lady gets smoked. Yeah, they take pride in being tough guys, unfortunately. And pass it on to their children. But guess what it got them? Life. He wanted him to do criminal acts in Puerto Vallarta. Mencho was the head of the plaza for the Millennial Cartel. He was aligned with the cartel in Sinaloa. In 2013, Menchito grew his enterprise
en Guadalajara.
He made people call him El Señor de la Perla. Everybody want to give themselves their own names. It's a circle jerk, man. Call me this. They call me Master Fist. Shut your bitch ass up, man. Kind of feel sorry for all those kids that realistically have no other choice but to follow the family business. It has to be hard. Try and escape that life. I don't know. There's money there, right? How many people don't grow up in shitty households, right? And leave with nothing and make a real life for themselves? A whole lot of them, right? So imagine what a person with some bread can do. That's my thoughts on it. My family disgusts me. I gotta get the fuck out of here, man. All this drama. I'm gonna move to San Francisco. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna become a movie producer. You got everything at your disposal. They're American, ain't they? They could easily send them here. He was born here. He's American. That's my point. 14 years old, he could have been with a different name, with a different, somewhere in a suburb somewhere, living a life. I see what you're saying, Zoraida, because you look at the twins, but the twins also had a choice. They liked the game, right? But they made it clear to themselves they wasn't in no, I'm going to blow up the driver for no reason. That's different. It's just different. Right? True, Shy, but we don't know if that move still comes with the privilege of the family moolah. The world is all fucked up. Okay, cool. Check it out. Again, that's why I said, how many times did a person grow up in a shit family and leave with nothing? We're resilient humans. The ones that have ambitions and goals and really want something. So if he wanted to get out, I think he could have got out. The other ones ain't bosses. Or like Mayo's other kids. How many of them are all the way in the bar? The girls involved? Like, what's happening? Like, I want to know. Because my thing is, yeah, they could get out. You can't blame family or society for the way you act. It's your decisions, even if it's difficult. Right. Leaving and making your own life is difficult. They wanted it. He wanted it. They offered it to him at 14. You think that at 14 years old, he had the mentality to make that decision? He was groomed for that. There's people who aren't self-aware of how much their own personalities come from their parents, unfortunately. Or lack of personality. Most of these young kids had the choice and decided to go down that road. They all went to school and decided to eat shit. And there it is. And now they're going to eat it for life. Or
the upper room.
Society and circumstances play a part, but he went beyond the levels most people go to. Facts. He crossed many lines. My point is, I'm not going to sympathize for him because he was raised in... Now, don't get it fucked up. I kind of feel bad for him. I see what Zoraida is saying. How many choices did he know that he had at 14? He knows that's my dad. My dad is like a god out here as far as he's concerned. Hell yeah, I want to do this with you. His dad's the piece of shit for fucking pushing him down that road. But guess what now? Live. El Señor de la Perla. No mames, way. I mean, think about it. It's his uncle's... think about it. His uncles are Queenies, so imagine how his mom is. Who's going to tell him what is wrong if both parents are in their life? Yeah, I get it. But we all have that thing where we know, right? We know right from wrong inherently. Whether we are raised by foul parents or not, we know. As much as we think we don't, we know. He knew what he was doing. He knew what they were doing. His family on both sides, everybody's tough. Where they at now? How many of them get to keep their riches? How many of them are not going to see life in prison or the upper room? Huh? They caught him in 2015, and 5 years later, they extradited him. This is what Jay was talking about the other day, right? Where he said, you know, how people write the letters about how he's such a good kid and this and this and that, but then you hear about them dissolving bodies in acid. You hear about him dissolving bodies in acid, but he talking about he's a nice guy. He's a great guy. I'm sure he was great to his family. Why would he be the same way with them? Yeah, no shit. Why would he put them in a vat of acid? His wife, his 3 sons, and his maternal grandmother
enviaron cartas al juez.
Wrote letters. Everybody got nice letters. He's a nice guy. Now, you're a judge. You have to take these things into consideration. You're sitting there, you're looking at a dossier that has, you know, Breaking Bad style containers filled with acid and flesh sludge. You got a bunch of pictures of terminated people. You got stories of drivers that didn't park the car too fast. And then you got these 3 letters in this dossier over here. And you're a judge. I wonder, which one do you give a fuck about? Right? I have 2 cousins similar to the twins. That got them in the game, similar age, and both went a completely different route than their dad. So yes, people have personal choice. I believe that. I've seen it. I've seen people with my own eyes say, nah, I don't want no part of my family or their life. And they move on. Some with nothing, some with a blessing, some disowned. No, that's what they say after they get sent, but he wasn't saying that shit when he was unaliving all those people. Facts. They also knew from an early age right from wrong, because when they knew things weren't right, they would tell me not to be around. Yeah, they knew. They also knew they didn't want that life.
Describiéndolo como un hombre cariñoso, trabajador y amable.
Come on, this guy is cariñoso, trabajador, and amable. Forget about the guys in the acid vat. Don't worry about that I put bodies in the acid vat and that I took the life of my driver because he didn't park the car as fast as I wanted him to park the car. He needed to hurry the fuck up, so I smoked him. That's what you're dealing with here. Y'all think that's gangster? To me, that's a rich kid with too much power. That's it. Having a temper tantrum. Fuck out of here. To be honest, he didn't need the money, bro. My bro and I did it because our father wasn't Mencho. That's the difference. And I was thinking of that difference when I said it. That is a difference. Your father wasn't top of the fucking food chain. That is a difference. Well, and the other difference was that you guys knew that you didn't want the violent part of that life and would try to stay away from it as much as you can. With him, he invited and blow up the driver for no reason. My father wasn't Chapo, Mayo, Mencho, etc. Nah. You didn't have the power. Y'all made the money eventually. You know what I'm saying? But you ain't had the power to just be blowing up fucking drivers just cause. You chose to be who you are. And what I spoke about at the beginning of this was a father that walked his son into a life sentence. Man, if I was one of these kids, I'd be as far as possible enjoying the money and going to school. Una bendición for dad. Better know how to use the hammer though, just in case. But that's how I see it, as spoiled temper tantrums from powerful babies. Since he's been in the United States, he's been in solitary confinement in a federal prison.
Horas del día.
He spends 23 days in the cell. The DA has solicited to put 2 perpetual life sentence on him. Fine of $12.6 million. The lawyers for Menchito say, his lawyers say that 40 years is a just sentence. Sounds like he's a hell of a guy. In this case, and sentencing is a witch hunt. Yeah, they got the wrong guy, bro. Mencho's hiding in the Sierras, protected by an army of sicarios. He's grown the Jalisco Cartel into one of the biggest in the world. $15 million for his arrest. But that's all I wanted to talk about there. I wanted to have a conversation about fathers and their sons. To me, this is a story of a father walking his son. At 14 years old, somebody should make the image. Any graphic designers out there, you get the father and the 14-year-old, and the father's kind of pushing the 14-year-old along, and off in the distance, you see the grown man in the prison cell for the rest of his life, for his 2 consecutive life sentences or whatever they gave him. Happy fucking Father's Day.